I believed I had married the love of my life, but everything changed when his father passed away. He transformed into a different person. And by different, I mean he began cheating on me. However, the situation took a much darker turn when he discovered the inheritance that came with his father's passing. He wasn't pleased with the conditions, and I wasn't willing to give in to his demands. My husband spiraled out of control after his father's death, and I couldn't tell if it was due to grief or sheer defiance. It made me wonder if I had unwittingly married a complete psycho. For some background, I had met my husband at a charity event for work. We struck up a conversation and exchanged numbers, though we didn't start talking seriously until a few months later. He appeared charming and sincere, showing particular interest in my worldview, especially since he had grown up in a staunchly religious household, while I held no religious beliefs. I was concerned that this might pose a problem, but he always reassured me that it wouldn't. He even joked about his family's disapproval of him dating someone non-religious. Looking back, I wonder if this was his sole reason for dating me, given what I know now. After a year of seeing each other, he decided it was time for me to meet his family. I remember feeling incredibly nervous about how they would receive me, given my non-religious beliefs, especially his father. Aiden had described his dad as tyrannical, ruling their lives with an iron fist. He claimed that he missed out on many experiences due to his father's strictness during his upbringing. Needless to say, I was already terrified of his father before I even met him. We were headed to a small family dinner at their place, with only his immediate family present: his parents, his brother, his sister-in-law, and their child. When we arrived, his brother was outside on the phone, so I was introduced to him first, and he seemed friendly enough. The next person I met was Aiden's sister-in-law and her 3-year-old niece. They were both lovely, and we had a lot to talk about, especially since she also worked in event planning coordination. While we chatted, Aiden's parents entered the room, and he introduced me to them. I was taken aback when I realized who his father was. I won't reveal his identity, but his father was a prominent figure, responsible for a major charitable organization both locally and internationally. I had seen Aiden's parents at an event I attended, but he had never mentioned their connection to him. His mother appeared somewhat distant but not unkind. I later discovered that Aiden's mother had always been cautious around the girls he brought home because he had a tendency to be attracted to what he called the wild type. Surprisingly, Aiden's father was the complete opposite of what I had expected. He was genuinely kind and understanding, not bothered at all by my lack of religious beliefs. He explained that he valued kindness and principles in people, regardless of their religious background. During our conversation, he shared that Aiden's sister-in-law used to handle the foundation, but had become less involved after becoming a mother. He believed in not taking people away from their families, especially when their children were young. That's why he had outsourced the last event to me. Contrary to my initial assumptions, Aiden's family turned out to be ordinary people with a touch of religion in their lives. Aiden downplayed his father's acceptance, suggesting that his dad probably assumed it was just another phase during his college years. He claimed he had dated numerous girls back then who were what he vaguely referred to as out there, and his parents had always viewed it as an act of defiance. According to Aiden, he had become more serious about me, taking a break from dating to focus on personal growth. Despite the red flags, I believed his explanations, naively accepting his version of events because I was deeply in love. We continued dating for another year, and then he proposed. We decided to live together before getting married, and during another family event, I had a candid conversation with Aiden's brother. He expressed concern about Aiden's behavior, recalling how Aiden used to rebel against their parents, especially their father, during their teenage years. Aiden had a history of fights, particularly because his father was strict about their activities. However, Aiden's father seemed pleased about our engagement, even offering his backyard for our wedding, a proposal Aiden initially resisted, but eventually accepted. After 2 years of living together and saving money, we set a wedding date. I convinced Aiden to honor his father's offer and have the wedding in his parents' backyard. Things seemed fine until 2 months ago when Aiden's father suffered a fatal aneurysm. A drastic change came over Aiden. He started coming home late, often drunk. I initially attributed it to grief, but his behavior raised concerns. When I spoke to his brother, he revealed that Aiden didn't seem sad about their father's death. Instead, he appeared relieved. Aiden's erratic behavior and the uncertainty surrounding their family business prompted me to confront him myself. I stayed up waiting for Aiden, and he didn't return home until around 1 in the morning. He reeked of alcohol and stumbled through the house. Despite knowing it was futile to reason with him in his intoxicated state, I insisted we needed to talk. I emphasized that he shouldn't be driving while drunk, as it could lead to harming himself or someone else. He dismissed my concern, telling me to mind my own business, ending the conversation abruptly. There was no point in discussing anything with him while he was drunk, so I decided to go to bed. The following morning, I woke up to find him vomiting in the bathroom. Seeing he had sobered up slightly, I gave him aspirin and some dry crackers. I questioned his irresponsible behavior, to which he replied that now that his father was no longer controlling him, he felt free to do as he pleased. I pointed out the dangers of drunk driving and his late-night antics, mentioning his brother's worries about him. Aiden grew angry, criticizing his brother and father, claiming they were obsessed with appearances and cared little about his happiness. He felt they were constantly trying to involve him in a lifestyle he had no interest in and judged him whenever he deviated from their expectations. It was in this moment that I realized Aiden's perceptions of his family might be distorted. While I understood he might carry some residual trauma from his sheltered childhood, it seemed as though he sought to provoke his father and make his family miserable as a form of retaliation. However, his attempts only resulted in his own misery, as they didn't take the bait. Despite my non-religious beliefs, Aiden's family had always been warm and accepting, never imposing their faith or lifestyle on me. His father even invited me to church once, emphasizing there was no pressure for me to attend. Perhaps I had only seen the best side of Aiden's father. I couldn't be certain of what he was like when Aiden was younger. Regardless, it was evident that Aiden needed to mature and move past his grievances to find his own path in life. I confronted him directly, asking if his unhappiness extended to our marriage. He admitted he wasn't happy. I was left speechless, so I got up and left. Currently, I'm writing this from my mother's place, where I've been staying for the past week. Aiden hasn't reached out. And even his brother mentioned he wasn't talking to him either. I'm at a loss about what to do. While this situation undoubtedly warrants considering a divorce, I'm hesitant to make a rash decision. I wonder if his behavior might be a coping mechanism for dealing with his father's death. I'm considering giving him some time to cool off and then suggesting counseling. Top comments from the original post. Comment 1. I empathize with you, OP. Your husband's behavior seems problematic. And while I don't advocate for immediately resorting to divorce in every marital issue, given his consistent suspicious behavior, it might be worth considering, especially considering his recent actions. I find it puzzling why he chose this moment, after his father's death, to act this way. Wouldn't it have more impact if his dad were still alive? Unless his intentions are something other than tarnishing the family name, his reasoning just doesn't make sense to me. Regardless, I think it's crucial to assess your relationship after this incident. Addressing these issues now can prevent future problems. I hope counseling proves helpful. Best of luck. Comment 2. OP, it appears your husband might be grappling with religious trauma from his childhood, as you suggested. If your father-in-law was different when Aiden was a child, there might be deep-seated issues at play. I've seen cases where strict evangelicals resort to harsh disciplinary methods to keep their kids in line. Some churches even pressure members to remain in unhappy marriages, fearing divorce. Aiden's fixation on his father's opinion indicates underlying issues that need exploration. While therapy is a step in the right direction, it might not be enough. Individual therapy sessions for your husband could help him work through his childhood trauma. Just because his family is pleasant around you doesn't necessarily mean they're genuinely nice. It might simply be a facade tailored for your benefit. Update number 1. I'm struggling to find the right words for this update. I feel utterly numb. I'm still at my mother's place, but I did return home briefly after about 2 weeks away. I attempted to reach out to Aiden through calls and texts, but he refused to respond. Then, I received a call from his sister-in-law, asking to meet for lunch. When we met, her husband was with her at a local coffee shop. She inquired about how I was doing and about the situation with Aiden. I didn't hold back. I shared the truth about his late nights, excessive drinking, and overall irresponsible behavior. I explained that I had been staying at my mother's to give him space before suggesting couples therapy. Unfortunately, he hadn't been answering my calls. During our conversation, my brother-in-law dropped a bombshell. Aiden had been using the foundation's funds to indulge in expensive hotel rooms and escorts. When confronted, Aiden claimed he had inherited part of the foundation, justifying his spending. However, his brother clarified that matters regarding their father's will were still being resolved, and Aiden's claims were baseless. Aiden had also informed his brother that we were no longer together, citing my supposed move out as his justification. Of course, this was far from the truth. Aiden's brother and sister-in-law apologized profusely for the mess, expressing their disbelief. They had thought Aiden had settled down when he married me, just as I had believed. Aiden's anger toward their father, they explained, stemmed from their high school years when he used to hang out with a rowdy crowd, engaging in activities that alarmed their father due to their family's tragic history involving a drunk driver. Grateful for their honesty, I returned home the next day and began packing most of my belongings. Aiden walked in while I was in the midst of it all, silent. He handed me an envelope containing divorce papers. He revealed that he was aware his siblings had told me everything and felt no remorse. He claimed the only reason he hadn't divorced sooner was to ensure he wouldn't be written out of his father's will. With his father gone, he asserted his newfound freedom. He offered me the house and informed me that movers would collect his belongings the next day. He planned to upgrade to something bigger and better with his inheritance share. I was so shocked that I couldn't utter a word. I continued packing silently, wanting to be away from him. Once I had loaded my belongings into my car, I drove back to my parents' place. I showed them the divorce papers and retreated to my room, where I broke down in tears. I couldn't comprehend the cruel turn my life had taken. Despite my unwavering commitment, he discarded our marriage as if it meant nothing. Tomorrow, I have an appointment scheduled with a divorce attorney. I don't intend to fight this. If he wants to leave, that's fine with me. Here's the second update for you all. And things have taken quite an interesting turn. I had my meeting with my lawyer, who ensured I understood the terms outlined in the settlement. I would keep the house, and we would each retain our own assets, including wedding rings and gifts. Since we didn't have a joint bank account, there were no financial complications to resolve. Honestly, I might end up selling the house. There are no good memories associated with it anymore. Since then, I've been trying to move past this situation. I'm still staying at my parents' place for now. They seem happy to have me around, or maybe they're just trying to cheer me up. I plan to leave after selling the house and find something smaller. Now, here's the intriguing part. Out of nowhere, I received a call from Aiden's brother. We engaged in some normal small talk, and then he asked if I was free the following Monday. I was, so he insisted I join them for a meeting with their dad's lawyer to finalize his estate matters. I was unsure of my involvement, but he insisted I should come and assured me that he'd make sure Aiden wouldn't speak to me and that we'd be seated far apart. Reluctantly, I agreed. On Monday morning, I arrived at the lawyer's office. Aiden's brother, now my former brother-in-law, met me outside and thanked me for coming. He escorted me to the lawyer's office, where Aiden, his mother, and the man I assumed was the lawyer were present. I approached their mother, offering my condolences and inquiring about her well-being. We hadn't spoken since the funeral. She expressed her sympathies for what happened between Aiden and me. According to her, she and her late husband had done their best to guide him, but he chose a different path. The lawyer then sat us all down, apologizing for the time it took to settle the father's affairs due to various complexities. The crucial part of the meeting was this: most of the money would be donated to charity to support the foundation. The foundation's management would pass to the oldest son, excluding Aiden. The remaining funds were allocated to his wife, his eldest son, and his wife, as well as a school fund for his grandchild. Surprisingly, he left money for Aiden, but with a condition. Our marriage had to last at least 5 years. Additionally, if we had a child, a school fund would be established for them. Notably, he left money for me without any attached conditions. This wasn't a small sum. We were talking millions. The lawyer's face when his father expressed concern that Aiden might squander the money on inappropriate indulgences like escorts and alcohol. At the end of the meeting, the lawyer informed us that he would schedule individual signing sessions for the paperwork and addressed any questions or concerns we had. As soon as we were dismissed, I swiftly left, noticing Aiden's gaze following me from across the room, as if he wanted to talk. I left before he could approach me. As I write this the next morning, Aiden has been bombarding my phone with calls and messages. Despite his efforts, I want absolutely nothing to do with him after all he put me through. Update number 3. Aiden's behavior has become increasingly erratic in his search for me. After failing to reach me through my phone, he attempted to contact his brother to inquire about my whereabouts. However, I hadn't seen any of them since our meeting with the lawyer. Aiden's brother warned me to lay low for a while since Aiden was frantically searching for me. True to his words, Aiden showed up at my parents' house one day looking for me. Fortunately, I wasn't there. My dad informed him that I was out of town for an event and uncertain about my return date. Aiden left a message, urging me to call him, insisting that we needed to talk. I had no desire to engage with him further, but his persistent attempts to reach me pressured me into making the call to put an end to his relentless pursuit. I decided to call him when I knew I had ample time and emotional strength to handle the conversation. I didn't want him to believe he still held any power over me. I called around 6 o'clock in the evening, assuming he would be at home. He answered eagerly, expressing happiness at hearing from me and inquiring about my well-being. He spoke as if he hadn't cast aside our marriage without a second thought. He started by apologizing for his selfishness during the divorce and acknowledged the pain he caused me. He admitted he should have respected the commitment we made, even if he wasn't as content as he hoped to be. I let him speak, then sighed and calmly stated that I had moved on from our marriage, focusing on other aspects of my life. I then confronted him, asking for the real reason he was checking up on me. He swore it was merely to reconnect, how I was doing, and if we could have more conversations in the future. I responded with a straightforward no, and made it clear that if he only called to check on my well-being, there was nothing else to discuss. He urged me to wait, and then finally, the truth emerged. Aiden admitted that filing for divorce had been a mistake. He confessed that he had been naive and driven by his resentment towards his father, and that he didn't mean the hurtful things he had said to me. He expressed a desire to work things out and suggested going to counseling, but I reminded him that my attorney had already filed the paperwork. The divorce was finalized, and our marriage was over, just as he had wanted. I pointed out that he was the one who initiated the process and followed through with it, and I had given him the freedom he sought. I ended the call and haven't spoken to him since, nor do I wish to engage with him further. I hope he learns a lesson from this, but I won't be used to help him gain financial advantages. Update number 4. It's been a while since my last update, as I've been busy with various life events. Business has been thriving, and I'm currently writing this in between engagements. First, I had a meeting with my lawyer to sign the divorce paperwork. I had the option to choose between receiving a lump sum of money or monthly payments, and I opted for the monthly payments. I also found a home that I like and am awaiting the bank's decision. Additionally, I recently had a meeting with Aiden's brother and sister, the first time we've met since the lawyer's appointment. We discussed a charity event that the foundation is hosting in memory of their father, and I'm assisting with the planning. As a part of the event, I've been scouting various venues. During our conversation, I received an update on Aiden. He had falsely accused me of taking the house from him in the divorce. However, they already knew this wasn't true because divorce filings are public and can be accessed by anyone. When they asked him why he was lying, he expressed frustration and stated that I should have given him the house back, given that I had received a substantial sum of money from his father. I clarified that if he wanted the house back, it was available on the market, and he could purchase it. They also mentioned that he was living in an apartment near his workplace, and he inquired about how I was doing through his brother. If he could get more involved in the foundation to earn some extra money, but his brother shut down that idea. He made it clear that there was no way Aiden would be put on the payroll, especially after the stunt he pulled with the foundation funds. And that's the extent of the drama up until now. I'm sincerely hoping this marks the end of it, as I am determined to move past Aiden and all the chaos he brought into my life. I refuse to let him waste another moment of my time. Top comments from the updates. Comment number 1. Well done, OP, for not falling into his trap. As much as divorce is painful, it's sometimes akin to removing a tumor. This guy was toxic for you and merely used you to fulfill his sick revenge fantasy against his father. It seems like his dad was aware of his son's questionable character and ensured he received something for his pain. He appeared to consider you a part of his family. Kudos to your brother-in-law for supporting you. Many men stay silent when their friends and family members behave atrociously. I'm relieved he's not one of them. Additionally, don't let your ex manipulate or pressure you into having a child together. He'll likely continue bothering you. So don't give in, OP. Comment number 2. I somewhat agree with your ex, OP. Perhaps you could have at least given him the house back. I understand the divorce was finalized, and the paperwork was in order, and I comprehend the pain he caused you. However, it feels petty to deny him a place to live. I'm certain your lawyers could have navigated the bureaucratic hurdles and transferred the house to his name. Also, your father-in-law is just as petty. Why did only your husband have conditions on his inheritance? If he wanted to squander it irresponsibly, that should have been his choice. Forcing someone to stay married for 5 years just to obtain the money feels distasteful. All right, let's have a discussion about this. I'm curious about your thoughts, especially concerning the last comment. This specific comment stirred up quite a reaction in the original post. Almost everyone disagreed with the commenter. The majority could see that OP's ex got what he deserved, but this person's perspective was entirely different. What are your thoughts on this comment? Feel free to share your opinions down below in the comments section. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Mr. Reddit, and I narrate stories daily. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you'd like to support the channel. And if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. I'll be back tomorrow. Remember, kindness is always cool. Peace.